Namaskar and hello friends. This is Rohit Devaman from TopStockResearch.com, one-stop shop for all your stock analytic needs. As you guys may be knowing that we have completed 12 years of TopStockResearch.com. A product success is never complete without active and constructive participation from the users. So big thank you for that. Now, during this journey, we have always been very eager to hear from you to serve you better. One of the most common feedback that we got is while the product is good, it's very exhaustive, extensive, but as a beginner in some of the areas, can you guys also help us in how to interpret it, to use it to the fullest extent? So some of the series of action that we took was to start with color coding of certain indicators. For example, in case of technical indicators, when there's a MACD crossover, it's obviously a bullish signal. So what we did is we started coding that with a green color, or if a PE ratio is less than 20, it's obviously a value stock. So we started marking that as green. However, if the PE ratio goes above 40, which is not so good, or in terms of purely from value perspective, it is expensive. So we started marking that as red. The other initiative that we have taken is to provide you a brief analysis about the indicator. For example, let's say ROA is a certain number. We also used to provide that the ROA is not only that number value, but also how that ROA is increasing or decreasing vis-a-vis previous one, to give you a perspective of that particular indicator. The third thing that we did is basically for majority of the key metrics that we have in the system, we also try to provide you a brief write-up on how to use it, how to interpret it. This thing is always available in tutorials.topstockresearch.com. And obviously, for all the indicators that we do have a pre-screened using standard screeners. For example, if you're looking for something like a PE between 10 to 20, you have a ready-made screener. If you are looking for something which is more than that, like for example, if you're looking at an ROA above 5 and ROE above 10 and PE above certain number and market cap above certain number, then obviously we do have a custom screener. Then apart from this, we have also added some of the custom indicators by TSR. Like a particular indicator is good in an isolation, but when you look at a bigger picture, it gives you a very sort of maybe a little exaggeration, but a more of a myopic view or a very narrow view. But if you combine more indicators, then you obviously get a broader view or a broader perspective. So we have also created TSR indicators. And lastly, what we have done is we have added visual presentation in form of charts and graphs. But obviously, as in when things move or evolve, there's more requests, more different kind of demands. Of late, the demand in this area was more to create a video presentation. So here we are to basically cater to that need. Financial ratios, very interesting, very important, and a must-have tool for the serious analyst. Now, this particular section is divided into 4 sections: how these ratios have evolved, what are the usage, what are the cautions that you need to be careful of, and the categorization of these ratios. Now, let's understand how these ratios have come up, how they help us in taking key financial decisions, whether it is related to trading or whether it's related to investment. Now, reading financial statement is quite a tedious task and could lead to errors, especially when you're looking at certain numbers not in perspective. For example, if you are looking at certain number in isolation, the other number may be very conducive or maybe totally against it, right? So it doesn't give you a clear picture of what that thing is unless you spend lots and lots of time reading those things and revisiting those financial statements. And in this fast-moving era, time is money. So obviously, you would want to get a quick grasp of the financial statement as soon as the result is declared, for that, so that you can take action out of it. Now, to simplify these things, analysts over a different period of time, they try to combine certain values into more or less ready numbers through which they can get a quick peek of the information they are looking for. The information they could be looking for is value or stability or so on and so forth, right? Now, while these analysts were doing a lot of them in isolation, they were generally tending to find or use the same thing again and again without knowing that the other analyst is also doing things. Now, these knowledge passed from desk to desk, company to company, generation to generation, and eventually got standardized and got some very meaningful name. Now, while these number of ratios could go all the way to thousands, right? But depending on its usefulness, depending on some of the other criteria, including back testing, some of them became more popular compared to others. And in the interest of our users or interest of this particular session, right, or the product, what we have done is at TopStock Research, we have taken 50 to 100 key such ratios, and we provide deep analysis around them. Not saying that other ratios are not important. If you have very deep understanding, probably you could create your own ratio, do testing and make the best use of it. So there's no stopping to that, right? Now, the next thing is about the use of financial ratios. First of all, they're ready to use. So these are very simple numbers. Just see the number and you can start using them. It provides very valuable insight of particular information. For example, if you're looking at how well companies are utilizing its equity to generate profit, right? So obviously there's a ratio available for that. Or if you're looking for something is like how efficiently companies using certain information, so you have certain efficiency ratios available for you. So it provides a lot of valuable insights. Next is basically it reduces the noise. So what it means is basically out of maybe hundreds of pages of financial statement of an organization, if you want to just focus on certain things to start with or to filter whether it fits into your bill or not, you can just go into certain numbers, get those ratios, either you calculate it or you can go to sites like us to get those numbers. It's also used for goal settings. What it means is basically, let's say the EPS of the company is 100 rupees per share at this time, right? So management can decide that our target is to go to 125. So then management will ask that, what do you need to take it to 125? Obviously, there are certain things which are required because 100 to 125 is a pretty steep jump, right? So it also helps in goal setting of the organization. As I mentioned, it's very useful for investment decision making. It can hugely influence your basically financial decisions. So that's another usage. Also, what you guys need to be careful is, as I mentioned also before, it has to be used in perspective. For example, a ratio of a certain number, right? So generally there's certain categorization that this ratio above this number is good. But you also need to look at is whether the ratio is increasing or going down to upward direction, or it's coming from upward direction to downward, or whether that particular industry is a startup, or whether there's a certain cyclical things that is going on in that particular area. Right. So that's general overview about the usage of these ratios. We'll gradually drill down into each one of the ratios in subsequent videos, wherein you will understand that how to use this ratio for this particular objective. All right. So guys, there's no silver bullet for anything, right? The ratio, it does help you with visualizing the company's statement or position, but it's never absolute. Right? So anything which is calculated based on a simple formula, right? The formula gets standardized, it gets automated, and the idea of particular thing is to give you a bird's eye view of a certain thing. So that doesn't mean that you have to look at the formula and then start using it. Right? What you should be looking for is basically once you get that ratio that it matches, then you further drill down and see the other factors matching there. If they are matching, then you take a financial decision, or you advise your clients, and so on and so forth. Now, also, a lot of these things depend on the business model, right? Business model may be different. For example, an organization may not be a very niche organization. For example, let's take example of Reliance Industry. Reliance Industry can be categorized as a refinery, can be categorized as a telecom, can be categorized as retail. So a ratio of reliance, for example, if we take ratio of reliance with, let's say, Bharti Airtel, right? That may not be apple to apple comparison. It could also be compared with HPCL. It could be compared. So these are certain things you also need to take care. That just looking at the this thing. Ratio, you just can't go into this thing, right? Business model is important. There are certain other things which are important as macroeconomic issue. That could be inflation related stuff. There could be GDP related stuff. There could be political stability and so on and so forth, right? Like currently there's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. So certain sectors are very badly affected, while certain sectors are taking advantage of it. Same was case with Corona. Certain sectors were very badly affected, especially hospitality sector. But certain sectors did extremely well, especially the digital world sector, right? Now, just looking at that particular thing of a lockdown period today may give you a very wrong idea of a poor number or a very good number in that particular case, right? So that also needs to be looked at. Next thing, what you should be looking at is accounting policies. Now, two companies can have different accounting policies. Basically, a number comes out from one company may show lot good signs or may show lot bad signs compared to the other organization, even though they using same accounting principle, they may be coming as the same number of value. Right. So these are certain cautions you need to be careful of. Categorization of these ratios, as we discussed, right? There are thousands of ratios. And not every ratio is useful to everybody. In fact, the ratios, if they can be logically combined depending on the interest, for example, certain set of users would be looking purely from profitability perspective. They have invested a lot and they want to see or invest in only those companies which are highly profitable, very stable companies which are giving a regular set of profits. Profitable companies would generally also go with the higher dividends, right? So that could be one category. The second category of investors are smart investors who are looking for long term. They wait for the price of the stocks to come to a level where it is below fair value or near fair value, and they invest there so that there's a huge potential of growth. Typical multi-baggers. Some investors may be looking more from preserving the capital being the highest priority, especially the older age clients, also retired clients. The prime objective is to preserve the capital first and then make money. So they'll be typically looking from solvency perspective. Certain investors would be looking more from how efficiently company uses it, utilizes its resources. So they go into efficiency ratio. So these are pretty four standard category which we have in TopStock Research. Apart from that, if you remember that these ratios are basically simple combination of two or more fields of your financial statements. They are good, they have time tested, but what happens is certain times one ratio may be showing a completely different picture compared to the other ratio of the same category. So what we do here at TopStock Research is basically what we try to do is we create our own strength index on each of the four categories. What we do is we combine multiple ratios. We go all the way to history to see how things are coming. We also go for the other fields of interest in your balance sheet, income statement, cash flow, and so on and so forth. We get to a particular index, which we try to give you as a much broad and generic highlights or basically focus on the company's number in that particular field. We'll be covering all these things in details in subsequent slides or sections. Now, first category is profitability ratio. These ratios, right, they typically tell about the profitability of the organization. Some of the key ratios in this category is ROA, ROE, net margin, and many more. When we cover these topics, let's say there'll be a separate video for ROA wherein we'll explain the usage, interpretation, charts, and so on and so forth, the screeners, all those things we'll cover, right? So this is just to give you an idea about some of the very important ratios in this category. Similarly, valuation ratio. The key ratios in this one is PE ratio, price by book, price to sales. So if you see that these ratios are more like price related stuff. So basically these ratios or the value of these ratios will keep on changing every day or every trading day rather, right? They are not so constant. Now, next in the category is solvency ratio. So these are more in terms of the solvency. Some of the important ratios in this category are debt to equity, shareholder equity, interest coverage. So basically, if you see these ratios, they are generally part of your annual statements. So they don't change often. So they change once a year. And so some of them may change a little bit more frequently, but these are much more static compared to the valuation ratio, which changes almost every day. Next is efficiency ratio. Some of the key ratios in this category are current ratios, cash ratio, inventory turnover, and so on and so forth. So we'll be covering these ratios in subsequent sections. The next more important and very exciting thing that we have in TopStock Research is TSR Strength Index. As I mentioned, we try to give you a much broader and comprehensive picture, which not only compares the latest value, historical value, multiple ratios, and so on and so forth. So these are categorized into 4 separate sections: profitability index, valuation index, growth index, and stability index. Now, these numbers are readily available at TopStock Research. You can always look at these numbers directly, or also you can look for a certain screener to see that I want only stability stocks and growth stocks together. So you can do combination of basically these indicators also. The next one, which is marked in red color, primarily because it's more of technical, whereas the rest of the section is more on the fundamental space. The technical index, what we do is we try to measure technical strength or the trend strength of a stock at any interval, starting from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, all the way to monthly tick. So these are live screeners. So these are much more basically active, even to compared with the valuation ratio, because these changes every 5 minutes. Also uses a lot of other tools to create this index. So feel free to use these indicators, even if you are fundamental analyst. Having a look at technical indicators also helps a lot. So that's why it's mentioned here. And for the reason that it doesn't directly belong to this category, it's marked in a different color. Now, having got a good idea about what these financial ratios are, what are the usage, what categorization, what caution you need to take care, it's time to actually dirty your hands or get more practical idea about these ratios. So obviously you will be requiring certain tools. One such tool is TopStock Research. In this slide, I'll tell you some of the reasons why you should be using TopStock Research. First of all, the coverage of ratios is very good in TopStock Research. We cover almost all the important ratios. These ratios are readily available. What it means is just go to TopStock Research without registering with the site. You can simply get a ratio of your choice with the value with some of the other interpretations. Each ratio comes with deep dive. What deep dive means is it's not only the number, not only the MRQ, not only the basic color coding. What we do is we provide lots and lots of insights, charts, historical ratios along with that in TopStock, which we'll be covering in the subsequent section. We have a very vast amount of data, both technical and fundamental, all the way up to 25 years of technical and fundamental data. We try to have that kind of coverage in the product. Now, these ratios, they are important. You have a magic number that if the ratio is between certain number, then you would want to be more interested in. Now, looking at the stocks one by one in different, basically, different pages, it's very tedious task. What we do here is to screen these ratios as a pre-screened ratios. For example, if you're looking at PE between 10 to 20, then that's a good number. So what you do is you simply go into TopStock Research, get into the screener, and you can directly get the stocks of PE between 10 to 20. At certain times, you would be with experience, you will be getting more knowledge that, okay, the PE is not enough. I want also in combination of PE is EV to EBITDA, right? So looking at stocks or filtering the stocks one and then going into another ratio, that's again a very tedious task. That's where the combo screener comes in, which helps you to screen stocks based on multiple different set of filters ranging from price, beta, 52-week high, low, or basically profitability ratios, or revenue growth, so on and so forth. So in a single screener, what you can do is you can add as many as 10, 20, 30 different filters. so that you get the stocks of your choice, which fits all the criteria. That's where the combo screener comes in. We'll take combo screeners in or custom screener in the subsequent sections. The next in TSR is basically TTM and MRQ. Remember, guys, we discussed that the valuation ratio are calculated on daily basis on every market hours, while some of the ratios are calculated on quarterly or annual basis. Now, any ratio which is calculated on annual results, there can be a lot of lag in that. For example, the results are declared as of 31st of March. And a lot of things may have changed till maybe December 31st or maybe January. You may be missing, just looking at the ratio, you may be missing some of the key things which are happening in the organization. That's where TTM comes into picture. So apart from the financial year ratio, we also produce TTM, which is trailing 12 months. So which will give you a better idea of how the things are happening in last 12 months rather than purely dependent on the financial statement or the waiting for the 31st March financial year ending. Also, we have as MRQ, which is most recent quarter. Most recent quarter also comes into play because a lot of times there could be sudden change in company's numbers. It could be related to launching of a new product, or it could be a bad news like a lawsuit, or it could be good news like government adding anti-dumping duty, or there could be a lot of factors wherein the product can or the company may suddenly become very different than what it was looking at the annual or this thing. So that's where the MRQ comes into picture. In TopStockResearch, we try to give you both MRQ and TTM ratios as much as possible or wherever it is applicable. So, and another thing, the next thing is in the premium version, you are ad free. So you can purely focus on the content without getting distracted with the ads. And also we have is basically a single page application, a very high class application using good UI and UX, which will help you to focus on your stuff rather than going or getting distracted here or there. Right. So now it's time to get into the actual hands-on. Getting into TopStockResearch, which we'll be doing now. All right, guys, now it's time to look at the financial ratios that we discussed in the earlier section in TopStockResearch.com. Go to your favorite browser, type www.topstockresearch.com. A homepage like this would appear. Now, there are two ways of going into these ratios. One is going from a particular company. Let's say you are interested in a particular organization. And you know what you need to look for. So you can go select here, select fundamental overview and type, for example, let me type TCS. Type in TCS, you can directly go into the fundamental analysis where you'll see all the important ratios. Remember, guys, mentioned that we have ratios with TTM, MRQ, screeners, and some of the tutorials also available along with the ratios here, right? So this is generally gives you a highlight about the ratios. A bird's eye view, or which we call as TSR stock view, where T stands for terrific, steady, risky stocks. So depending on your profile, you can also look at this set of information. Now, focusing back into the ratio, this is one way of getting it. Looking at TCS ratios, price to earning looks expensive. That's why it's dark red. Whereas some of the ratios, return on equity or return on asset looks pretty good. So that's why it's dark green. So the color coding changes as the value of indicator changes or value of ratio changes, right? You have other category where you can get is basically if you are looking at valuation ratios, you can go into valuation ratios. It'll give you, see in this particular case, we have ratios all the way up to March 2004, which is almost 18 years, 18, 19 years of data. You have basically the change of ratios, how the ratios are going from 1 year to so many period. You can go and deep dive into a particular ratio. For example, if we let's go into price to sales, we click there. So this is the place where you'll see deep dive into price to sales, latest value, whether it is good or bad. So it looks like a bad number. So that's why it's dark red. Last year also it was bad, but it turned from bad to worse, right? Purely by a percent, but purely from this this ratio perspective, price to sales, it has gone back to worse. If you're looking at trailing 12 months, it has gone slightly better, right? So compared to period ending 7, it is getting slightly better in this particular case when it is trailing 12 months. So this is where the insight of trailing 12 months comes into picture. We have detailed analysis about it, which tells you that it was high at this point of time, and highest price to sales was highest in March 21 and lowest in March 20. Price to sales was greater. The current price to sales is greater than average of last 5 years. So that means it's going on an expensive side. Some other idea about it, for example, what the formula of price to sales is, a definition, a brief write-up about price to sales. If you are interested to know more about it, you can always go and click on price to sales. This will give you other ideas about price to sales. Going back here, sorry. Yeah, price to sales. You can go into fundamental analysis from the page where we came back. We can go into technical analysis. You can look at the other stocks of this sector and also some of the related indicators. Now, price to sales is part of valuation. So also along with this, you'll see the TSR valuation index. So from valuation index perspective, it is expensive. Price to sales is also expensive, and from TSR value index, it's also expensive. Right. So basically, it definitely uses price to sales as one of the part of calculating TSR value index. So it says that very low value index. Historical values of the price to sales, as well as it has price value, right? So you can always see that the price is going, as the price is going up, it is becoming more and more expensive from price to sales perspective. If you see from here to here, right, it's going at much higher pace of price to sales. A brief graph is here, historical graph, and this to give you that how price to sales is moving for this thing. It's pretty static between 20 and 21 and 22. So also gives you a certain perspective. But if you see from this period, it's continuously rising. So it gives you a very good idea about the deep dive of this thing, of this ratio, right? So this is one way of looking at it. Remember what we did is we selected a stock of our choice and we went into other details about that. The second way of looking at it is basically go into the screener, and this is what we recommend unless you are very sure that you're interested in a particular company. Let's look at the profitability ratio. In the profitability ratio, we have these many ratios. For example, if you are looking at ROE, which is between 15 and 25, you can directly get here. If your focus is only on small cap, you can easily filter on small cap. So it will show you the stocks of small cap within that particular criteria. So these are pre-screened reports, which will give you a lot of ideas. So there are quite a few stocks matching this particular criteria, right? If you feel that you want to revise your price to sales, you can click here, get more information about price to sales. On ROE, you'll have information about ROE. So this follows a very similar pattern. That's why I'm missing out on some of the other names, right? It's very impromptu recording that we are doing, so that it's very close and as much as practical rather than a studio mic. So this is one area. So let's say you feel that Oriental Electric is the stock of your interest. Click on Oriental in this thing. Here you'll find all the important ratios, latest year, trailing 12 months, most recent quarters. Similar analysis is there. Then where does it fit? So purely from ROE perspective, it looks good. But when you look from TSR profitability index, it is just somewhere around neutral, right? So obviously, this one is much more detailed. We have lots and lots of inputs to calculate the profitability index, ROE being one part of it. Similarly, you have ROE brief historical ROE here, the price, how ROE and prices are changing. And then you have a typical graph. And this pattern is uniform across all the ratios. So in a nutshell, this is what you'll be typically getting in the public view of TopStockResearch. Obviously, there are certain things more in the premium view for which we are charging. So we'll cover my TSR or the premium view of TopStockResearch now. So having got exposure to the financial ratios, brief concepts, looking at the financial ratios, how to find them in public view of TopStockResearch, we recommend you guys, if you are more serious investor or basically analyst, we recommend you to subscribe to a premium view. of TopStockResearch, which is called my.topstockresearch. Once you subscribe, you'll come into my.topstockresearch.com. In this one, you can go directly from the stocks that we did in public view, or you can go into the screener. In this particular case, we'll go from the screener. So hover your mouse to the left-hand side, you'll see pre-screened. Once you click on the pre-screened, you'll find quite a few categories. The category we are interested in today is financial ratios. Click on the financial ratios, you'll find the list of the stocks. Now, compared to the public view, here you have screeners for MRQ and TTM also, along with the regular financial year ratios, right? Let's go into one of the ratios. Let's say valuation, looking at the PE from low to high, run the screener. What you'll see is the screener result comes. The page doesn't refresh, complete page doesn't refresh, only the part of the page refresh. And we try to, as much as possible, we try to give the response time to a sub-second, wherein our 90% of our screener results come in less than a second time, right? So that you focus on your work rather than looking or waiting for the results to come. Right? Now, the results which are coming is between low to high, PE ratio, or high to low, sorry. Let's go into low to high, run it. Right? So if we see Steel Authority is the stock which is very low as far as PE is concerned, Tata Steel. So it gives you an idea that, okay, some of the metal companies, right? If you see here, 3 out of top 4 are basically coming in low PE. So this gives you an idea about, okay, metals are not doing so well at this point of time, or they are having better PE ratios. So it gives you an idea. In the public view, you have very few stock basket. Here you have an option of lot bigger stock basket. You can go to blue chip, mid caps, NSE 500, or you can go into your watch list stocks. Right here, of course, my watch list is pretty big, so you see quite a few stocks. You see Hinduja Global is even lower than Steel Authority, which comes much lower when you look at a bigger stock basket here, right? You can also go to a stock basket of your choice. For example, I'm interested in basically Nifty Mid Cap 150. So you click there, you'll find stocks of Nifty Mid Cap 150. Looking at the results, we try to create certain related set of columns here. You have an option of creating your own set of results, which we'll be looking at in the subsequent slide, or perhaps in a different video of customizing this page. As a quick overview, what you can do is you can customize the results here using result template. We have quite a few templates here, right? For example, if you want to look at industry and sector along with this, so you'll get industry sector. If you are looking at some of the columns at the end, for example, TSR stock strength along with these things. So you'll not only get the industry sector, but also you will get the TSR stock strength, what is its growth, excellent value, profitability, valuation, so on and so forth, right? So these are other options which are available to you. Keeping it simple, coming back to very simple view here. So one of the option is you can export to Excel, or you can, if you don't want to maintain 2 sets of information, what you can do is you can add all the stocks to your watch list or add all the stocks to your portfolio. Let's say you want to add all the stocks to your portfolio, give a meaningful name, and let's say you want to really test these things over a period of time, say a month or 2 before you actually want to take a trading decision, which is a wise and right thing to do. So you just say that, okay, these are the stocks of my interest. I want to buy. I want to give name as demo TSR financial ratios. I want to buy stocks. Either you go with the quantity. I want to buy each of these stocks, 100 stocks. I want to have a target of, let's say, 20%, right? So when target of 20% is there, you'll get intimation, or you can go into your portfolio looking at it, or you can go with a value. You want to invest 1,000 rupees or maybe 10,000 rupees of each of these stocks, right? So you can do that. You can add all the stocks to your watch list, right? So whatever you add here, you will eventually be able to filter later on those stocks, right? So this is an additional thing that you can get. You can further basically sort it. That's not a big thing anymore in this era, right? Sort anything based on PE, or you can filter these stocks. Let's say you are looking for any Tata related stocks, if at all they are there. So Tata, yeah, we find quite a few stocks of Tata, right? If you're a Tata Group person fan, You can filter here with Tata. You can add any particular stock to your portfolio, or watch list or alert. You can see the price charts here, right? It's here, right? So the first stocks that we are looking at is basically Tata Power. Now, basically, you are a chartist, you want to play with the charts, so you have certain settings. You don't want to go back to see what the next stock is. The next stocks of the results is directly here. You can directly navigate to the next one. We'll cover these things in much more details in some of the other sections, right? So this is how you typically use this. Click on Tata Power. You'll go into fundamental analysis. Now we have two different pages of fundamental analysis, rather three. One is this view where you get financial highlights, share overview, most recent quarters, all the key numbers, right, along with the indicators. This is one view. The second view is, so you're directly into financial highlights. You can go into TSR stock view. This is much more of a high level summary. You can get all these information here. It's very similar to what we saw in the public view. Feeling like drilling down to a particular indicator, for example, net profit margin. So if you see net profit margin, it's very similar view what you get in public view of the deep dive into this thing, the formula, the historical ratios, the profitability index, and so on and so forth. You have a good idea about it. Now, this is very basic stuff, right? We have gone from screener. Also, you can go into any particular ratio of your choice, right? So let's say you want to look at the financial highlights and ratios. So below all these numbers, you have these ratios. You can get idea about all these ratios. For example, if you're looking at the retention ratio, so click on retention ratio, you'll see the charts and graph. Happy with retention ratio, the next ratio that you are interested in is basically price to cash flow. Look at price to cash flow, got a good idea, charts, historical data, right? So this is another way of looking at it. The third way of looking at it is basically go and look at the customized view. The information is well segregated and organized into multiple different tabs. However, it is not limited to these views. If you feel that certain set of information is useful to you or certain set of information is not useful, you can always arrange. For example, if you are not looking for, let's say, technical strength, right? You can always remove technical strength, remove it permanently. The technical strength goes away. Or if you have a bigger screen, wherein you want to put multiple set of information. For example, you want to reduce the size of this, or if you want to increase the size of this, right? Depending on the screen size, you can always increase, decrease, or you can move it up and down. So the information, this is pretty standard set of information. Now, with focus on the fundamental analysis or the fundamental ratios, we'll straight away go into the tab which is organized with this tab. The information here is pretty much similar of what we have seen in the other views. With an advantage here is basically, let's say you are not interested in certain ratios. So what you can do is you can go and let's say you're not interested in earning per share, price to sales, price to book. You can always remove from here, save the settings. So you'll get information what you are really is useful to you rather than looking at a lot of information. So same way you can arrange information in multiple tabs. Set of information within each portlet. You can obviously filter that information, and there are a lot more things available here, right? So the next in line is the historical ratios, which we have been discussing. For example, in case of historical valuation ratio, you feel that, okay, this set of ratios are important. However, if you feel that certain information is not so important or certain information is important, for example, if you are not interested in price to cash flow and earning rate, you can remove from here. And if you feel that the enterprise value to revenue is important, you can add it here, save settings. So the new settings will have those set of information which is useful to you. Now, apart from that, the other options available here is you can always export this set of data. You can view this data in form of charts. For example, let's say if we are looking for the price to book, you click here, you get the information of price to book, right? In charts, both bar as well as line charts. If you want to see the CAGR, how much of growth is there. So it'll give you information about 1 year, 3 year, 5, all the way up to 10 years of the compound annual growth rate returns or CAGR. If you are interested in absolute percentage change year on year, then you can go here and click and see that, okay, what is the actual percentage change between year on year, right? So there are certain things which are marked in red, which obviously is lower than the previous year, and certain things marked in green, which is obviously higher than the previous year of the comparison. Same way, you can go to solvency ratios or efficiency ratios, profitability ratios. All these things are pretty standard. This is how you can really customize the view the way you would want it to be. Let's say if you are looking for example, if you have added too many ratios here, right? You are interested only in the ratios which are related to returns. So you just put returns, and only the ratios which are of returns category will come over here. You can always sort the ratios alphabetically or with any other number that you are interested in. Once you are happy with this thing, you can customize this thing the way we did for the other one, right? So this is another advantage of using the customized view of what you seek is what you get. You exactly get what you are interested in. Same way, financial statements. So there are a lot of lot of data available in the balance sheet, for example, right? Not everything is interested to you, so you can always customize it. Some of the ones which are more commonly used are marked in dark red. Some of them are less important, are marked as a normal color, right? So same thing is, let's say you are interested in anything which is related to, for example, assets. So just type assets, you'll see the balance sheet with only asset related fields. Same thing, you can drill down to any charts, click there, you'll get the information. Show CAGR, you'll get the CAGR. Get the percentage change year on year, you'll get the percentage change as well. So this is one of the other ways where you can focus on what you are really interested in without getting much of the noise. So once you are happy with this, you can customize this. For example, if you are a pure fundamental analytic guy, you're not interested in technical, you can always remove the technical tabs, delete technical chart pattern, right? So, and you're not looking at historical price volume. So what we are left with is basically few very minimal set of tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is directly or which is exactly what you are looking for, right? If you feel that you have done a mistake, you can always go back to factory settings. So once you go back to the factory settings, all the 6 tabs have come in, right? So let's say if you are into historical ratio tab, and you want to go to another stock, let's say after TCS, you want to go to Infosys. So you type Infi there. So it will retain the settings, the last preferred settings or last settings that you have been in the site. So it will directly get you into this one. Similarly, the settings that we had customized to these many ratios for historical values. It's here. Let's say you want to get more insights on a particular ratio. You always can click here. Go here. So all the price to book related information is available here, including the formula, including the link to tutorials, including the historical ratios, so on and so forth, which we had discussed earlier, right? If you want to go back to technicals or fundamentals, let's say you want to go back to fundamentals, you can always go back to the fundamental ratios here. So this is how it is, like a 360-degree view. You can navigate from anywhere, and you can come back to the page of your interest at any time, right? Similarly, all the important fundamental pages will have growth, value, profitability, and stability TSR strength index. So that's pretty much about the high level view of the customized view of TSR equity. So then in the next coming section, we'll go into the custom screener, which we also call as DIY, do it yourself, wherein you can mix and match multiple different parameters to create your own strategy. Now, time to go into the custom screener, which is DIY, build your own strategy. So navigate on the left-hand side, the menu bar expands, you go to custom screener, do it yourself. Once you go here in the do it yourself, the default layout comes. Here, the options you have is basically the stock basket you can choose. And obviously you can check the ticks. Not so important when it comes to fundamental analysis, the ticks, it's more for technical analysts, analytic guys. Now, in this one, there are multiple tabs. For example, if you are interested in a price range between a certain level of, let's say, 10 to maybe 1,000. So that becomes your first filter. Run it, you'll get only those stocks which are between 10 to 1,000. Then on top of it, let's say you are interested in, let's say, Market cap above, let's say 1,000 crores, 1,000 crores, let's put market cap. So that is the second condition which has come in. So number of records matching this criteria is 48. Now, next in the series is, let's say you are interested in, let's say Piotrowski score above 6. So you put Piotrowski score there, run the screener. So number of records which comes is 20, right? Then next, maybe you are looking for, let's say, EPS growth, 3-year EPS above, let's say 10%. So that is your fourth leg in the strategy. Click there. So you'll find 12 stocks which are matching all the criteria: market cap, Piotrowski score, EPS, right, and the price range. Then next in the line, let's say if you are interested in certain valuation ratio, let's say you are looking for price by earnings, PE ratio, between, let's say we put it between 10 to 20. 10 to 20. Run. So you find only one stock which is matching your criteria. Now, at any point you feel that some of the criteria may be too stringent. You want to relax one of the criteria. For example, let's say we want to relax the criteria of let's say a Piotrowski score. So you can pause this thing, run again to see what are the results. So you get 3 results here. So this is one of the generic way wherein you can use your fundamental ratios to create a strategy that suits your purpose, that will help you to filter the stocks much faster than that. Obviously, you always have an option of going into the pre-screen, but once you learn the system, you will become smarter, and you will exactly you'll exactly know what you are looking for. So that way you can help and create your own strategy. Now, once you are happy with the strategy, you can add to another stock basket. Let's say you are looking for, let's say, NSE 500. So you get these many stocks in NSE 500. If you are looking for, let's say, mid cap, you have an option of looking at the mid cap. Or if you are looking for another category, which is a customized category from your watch list, you can look at the watch list, you can look at the portfolio, or you can even go to any other stock index. Let's say you are looking for Nifty 200. So you can filter stocks on Nifty 200. Now, this is one part of it, right? Not every strategy or every results that you get, you would directly want to trade. You obviously want to do more research into that. Obviously, you can go into one of the stocks to do further research, or you want to monitor it. So you can always add all the stocks to watch list. This is how you'll add up all the stocks to watch list, either create a new one or go to existing one, or you can add all the stocks to portfolio. You can create a new name, demo TSR, financial ratios. You want to buy, either you buy with a quantity. Let's say you want to buy 100 stocks each, or you want to buy of a particular value. So you want to buy stocks for, let's say, 10,000 rupees or maybe 100,000 rupees, right? And your target is 20%. So you go put 20% there, and that's how you can add all the stocks to your portfolio, right? So we'll give it 24th July, right? The day of creation of this video. So all the stocks are added to this particular portfolio. Now, tomorrow, what you can do is you can filter the stocks. You can filter the stocks on your portfolio. Click there, go to your portfolio, the last portfolio which we created here, click there. So you'll get only 4 stocks which are part of this thing, right? So you have an option of filtering or screening based on your portfolio, based on a watch list, on a particular index or a sector, so on and so forth. There are a lot of options. Now, apart from this, let's say you are looking for certain additional set of information in this particular case, right? So what you can do is you can add this, you can create a template. For example, let's say you are looking for 1-year high low as well. So 1-year high low is also coming here. You are interested in adding certain other financial ratios. You click there, the key financial ratios that you have configured also comes here. So these are certain other ways of customizing this information. How do we create template? We'll have a separate session on creation of template, but to give you a pointer over here, go to other settings, then you can create a template out here, right? So this is pretty much on a very high level of what you can do using financial ratios, whether on equity or whether a deep dive, whether a pre-screened or a custom screener, strategy building, and so on and so forth. Apart from this, we do have certain pre-created screeners for you that may be useful for you to get an idea of how to create the screener. So go navigate to the menu, go to custom screener, go to expert screener fundamentals. So there are certain screeners which are created for you. For example, if you're looking for a let's say excellent value stocks with great returns, you go here, you'll get these many stocks which are value stocks as per TSR value index. And then you'll have a lot of other set of information which you are looking for. The informations here are market capitalization, return on assets above 10, return on equity above 12, and then last year financial return on investment capital above 6%, right? So this is how you can further, you can take one of the expert screener as base, and then you can build on top of it also, right? We'll cover all these sections in details when we cover, let's say, the custom screeners, or when we cover the expert screeners. There are a lot of things. Also, as we speak, there are certain TSR sessions going on, and there'll be a lot more videos coming in the coming days. Apart from this videos, some of them will be in English, some of them will be in Hindi. Depending on your comfort level, you can choose a video on Hindi or on an English, right? So that's pretty much summing up on the custom screener using financial ratios. We hope you like our sessions on the financial ratios. There'll be a lot more coming in future in the same directions. Next in line is basically TSR strength index and TSR profitability ratios. If you liked it, do subscribe or share with your friends so that your friends may also benefit out of our work that we have done. Thank you so much. See you soon.